I just bonk and bump everyone's, like, I sit down and everything just goes...
We should just flip the table.
Yeah, just give us another 30 minutes to reset up, Janet. Thanks. Yeah. How's it going? You all have survived all the way through Saturday. Have you all been here since Thursday? Since Wednesday.
Yeah. I got in last night.
Oh, fresh as a daisy. Yeah. Yeah, we usually, our stuff has usually been on Thursday, so it's usually like at the beginning of everything, and now I'm like, oh wait, yeah, Saturday, okay. So people are like winding down, got it.
There's a lot going on Saturday. So
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely the biggest. What happens on Sunday? Is everyone's kind of going home? There's a handful of like
the clearance day.
Yeah, you go back to all the Artist Alley booths and like
everything's 50% off.
Yes,
Buy one,
yes.
get one free.
It's the flea market day.
Pretty much. That's when
Very
everyone
cool.
goes out and does their shopping.
Smart. God, as a vendor, you must be so annoyed being like, ugh, countdown to Sunday. No one's buying anything because they all want to see how cheap we'll go on Sunday.
Or carry it around for 3 days.
Or carry it around for 3 days. Good point. Well, what can I tell you about Stan? Season 3.
So
Here we go.
Start off and maybe like introduce your character. And
Sure.
maybe, like,
Yeah. So I'm Janet Varney. I play Sheriff Evie Barret, who, of course, has now lasted full 3 seasons since we finished shooting, in a place that I'm sure she often regrets moving to. Did not know what she was getting into. Somebody asked me today, like, why does she not leave? But once cursed, I don't know. I think she does have like a weird sense of, I guess I gotta see this through, like a stubbornness. Maybe that she shares with Stan in a way, I don't know. Yeah.
So what attracted you to like this character? Was it because of that reason? Like just, going with the flow kind of?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dana apparently wrote this character for me. We've known each other for a long time in the comedy world, and unbeknownst to me, he had been secretly thinking of me as, I am using his words, please don't think that I consider myself this, because I do not. But he was like, and he says this in interviews sometimes, he's like, he says it like it's a foregone conclusion. He's like, Janet's like the female Harrison Ford. And I'm like, who? Wait, but like, not. I understand who Harrison Ford is. Who are you talking about? Who's the first person? But he has this idea of me being like way cooler than I am. I think like what that translates to is that he knows that I like cycling, like I'm a cyclist and I like riding my bike places. I kid you not, that's so rare in the comedy world. I think in his mind he's like, wow, what a badass, rides a bike. Huh, that's cool. So somehow in his mind that translated to like she should be like in an action type scenario, and so he wrote this part for me, and then as happens oftentimes in Hollywood, I expected it not to go to me because that's a thing that's very common, right? Is that your friend who's a writer is like, I wrote a thing for you, and then you have to audition for it, and then people are like, I don't see it. You're like, oh, okay, got it. But this one worked out. I did audition for it. Yeah, he said I made it clear that I would like for you to be this person, but there's a process and you gotta do. And so everybody auditioned for it, and luckily they were like, oh, okay, all right, we'll get it to her. So that's, what attracted me to it was, shockingly, it was made with me in mind. So I don't have to do whatever that is that he sees in me, which is, I think, for so many actors, it's sort of like turning. It's like you have, if you're like a stereo system and you have like your sort of EQ, you have all your different, like, are you turning up the bass? Are you turning down the treble? Are you, like what affect to your own personality are you turning up or turning down? And so, like for me, when I did the show called Burning Love, there was like, that's just all me, but it's like 3 dials turned all the way up and everything else kind of turned down. And I think that's sort of how Evie is. Like she's whatever part of me I wish I had that had the grit, the true grit to just be able to like stay in something and see it through, and have that feeling of protectiveness towards other people, and just less of like my voice at its highest register, which certainly exists in my regular life. Like, I can kill you. No, let's kill the spider, but maybe I can trap the spider in a cup. That's pretty much absent in the show, but yeah. What else? No pressure.
What do you hope viewers get out of the show? Like when they're watching, what do you feel like their reaction would be, or
Yeah.
relations to characters?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I hope people think it's funny. I mean, there's plenty of scary stuff that's not funny that you can watch, so hopefully you like to laugh. I love that the relationships between the characters, while completely batshit, are still grounded in something, and I think that's a really fine line to walk. So, and I think that's how we all feel, you know, we all sort of love that it's totally out there, but still something that there's something you can kind of hold on to that feels real. Otherwise, it would just be kind of just stupid. And that's not what the show is. It actually has a lot of heart. So yeah, I mean, I think I always tell people, like, if you don't like horror stuff, there's still something there for you. But my mom finally watched an episode, and I realized, like, you know, you find out someone that you care about is seeing something for the first time. So I was like playing it in my brain over to myself because I've seen it enough, and I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna. Yeah, I don't think she. Well. And sure enough, my aunt wrote me and said, like, hey, we watched that thing. Your mom really liked seeing you on the TV. Okay, maybe it's not for everyone. But also my mom doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't have a computer, and, you know, like, the most excitement for her these days is, like, going on a walk around the block. So it might not be for her, but for everybody else, I feel like there's something fun there.
Do you ever find it difficult to like find that balance? Because I know this show has like a lot, like you said, there's scary moments, there's funny moments, and then you have like
Yeah.
find it hard to like balance all those tones out.
I thought I would, and was surprised to find out that I didn't. I really didn't. I think something about, like, how fast we shoot, and something about, again, like the fact that we have all the practical stuff in front of us. We're not just on a green screen pretending that we're, you know, in King's Landing or whatever. You know, I for me, it's such a treat to have everything right there in front of you. It becomes weirdly real, as bananas as it is. It becomes weirdly real, and I think we all feel like that when we kind of get in there, because it's like summer camp and you're just jamming through all the shooting very quickly. You kind of don't have room to do anything but just be in it in the moment, and you know, that's something I have a hard time with in my regular life. So it's nice when, you know, you actually have to be present and not be thinking about the next thing.
How do you like shooting the series so fast? Like 24 days or something?
I love it. I really do. I just coming from like improv and sketch and stuff. I don't feel like my 10th take is my best at all. I feel like, you know, maybe 2 is, but you know, there's not a whole lot of like, let's shoot this 18 different ways. I think we'll get something usable. I'm great with just powering through it, and for me, it keeps the momentum up, because that's the hardest thing about. I mean, it's a very easy job when all said and done. Everything's relative. You get used to whatever your own individual lifestyle is, but the hardest thing for me is just like sitting and waiting to be called to come do something. So when you trim down all of that, it's great, because you know, it goes by faster. Like, I remember when I worked at Pottery Barn, the best days were the ones where we were slammed. You know what I mean? The hardest days were like, it's a Wednesday morning, how many more people are going to come in to browse while they wait for their optometrist appointment or whatever, you know? Those are the days that dragged on and on. So it's like, give me something to do, you know?
What's been your favorite moment from the whole series up to this point?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. It's just so hard to pick something. I just loved shooting the scene last year with John where he's going into the cabin, and we sort of have the. Did he say that too?
Yeah, that was exactly. We asked him that, and that was his answer as
We
well.
loved that day. There was something really special about it. I don't know. Like, we weren't rushed. And that's another thing about the show I love. It's like, somehow we're rushed when we have to be, but then when we need to take the time, it's always there, which is also kind of like, how's that possible? But yeah, we weren't rushed. And then, yeah, it was like the last day of shooting or close to it. And so you already have that feeling of like, oh, it's ending because it goes by so fast. And it started lightly raining, but it wasn't like angry rain. It was like misty rain. And yeah, we just really, it was just very special. And I walked away that night, and you know, whenever it was like 2 a.m, I was driving back to my apartment in Atlanta, and I thought, I really love acting. And that sounds like the lamest thing an actor could say, but again, because I do so much comedy, I don't think of it as acting. And I'm very apologetic about being an actor. I'm like, I'm an actor like everybody else you're gonna meet in LA, like blah, blah, blah. And then I get excited about like, I produce a comedy festival, I write scripts, you know, that's the stuff that I like don't apologize for. And so that night, driving home, I felt like I allowed myself the space to go like, I think I did some good work tonight. I think I acted. Like I felt really, that was really powerful, and it felt really good. And I assume that that's how people like Johnny feel all the time, because he comes from such a, you know, this really like very professional, again, this very prepared like world of my vocation is I'm an actor, and you know, he's not like running around on stage doing make-em-ups like I am all the time. So I felt like I got a glimpse of that, of what it feels like to really feel pride in your craft. I was like, I kind of want to feel that more often. So yeah, that was a good one. It's so funny that he said the same thing. That's really sweet.
What
There you
kind
go.
of, I guess, like, what advice would you give to somebody
Yeah.
wanting to make that transition into acting as well, but is finding like that gray area of like, is this what I want to do?
Yeah.
Am I good at it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the whole like don't have a plan B thing, I'm never gonna say that, because all I have ever done is have plan Bs. And I think it's great to be good at a lot of different stuff, and I think it's great to let the different parts of your life inform the other parts. So, because I think it comes into play in ways you don't expect it to. And so I'm more of that person that's like, hey, if you're great and you love woodworking, also do that. Don't let that go. Or, you know, if you balanced a budget somewhere, trust me, you're going to be glad you did that, whether you're acting or not. Like, those are things that are going to be very important. So I don't put this above anything else, and I feel like that there's room for all of that, and that can inform, that you'll get to know, if you give yourself the time to get to know what is important to you, and you're honest about it, you'll get there, you know. And maybe it will be like, I love doing this on the side, or I love, you know, but I don't want to rely on it for a living. So yeah, I think just like listening to yourself. Because it's hard to do that sometimes in this day and age, especially when you're like, well, what about what everyone else thinks? Yeah. That's what I should care about, right? More than ever, you know? So it's letting go of that, I think, a little bit.
What's going on?
Evie has like a really great relationship with him. They complement each other really well, and she doesn't seem to give up on him.
Right.
Like she always expects him to kind of care and
Yeah.
do what's right.
Yeah.
Why does she feel that way?
Well, I think I think it's in him, and she senses that, and she knows that, and he gives her just enough of that it's infuriating when it's not there, and she has to dig for it, but she believes that it's in there, and I think. So yeah, it's that thing where someone else kind of sees in you this quality where you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm like that. But that person's like, yes, you are. Why can't you let yourself be that? That's the frustration. It's like, and it's kind of like that friend that you have to apologize for because you know how great they are, but like they go to a party and you're always like, this is all right. Listen, now I know you wish that I hadn't brought, but if you only knew, it's like it's sort of that where you're like constantly trying to like crack through to get to. That's why people end up in toxic relationships. So at least it's not like a romance between Stan and Evie. At least it's like a family type situation because nobody needs to fix anybody else. We all just need to fix ourselves. Yeah.
So much, guys.
That's great.